The alarm bells rang across Earth's military headquarters like the screams of dying worlds. Admiral Jin Woo stood before the massive holographic display, watching red dots disappear one by one from the star map. Each dot had been a human colony. Each dot had been home to millions of people. "Sir, we're getting the final transmission from New Busan Colony now," reported Lieutenant Commander Hei Wan, her voice tight with barely controlled anger. The speakers crackled to life with static and terror. "This is Colony Defense Command. They came out of nowhere. Ships bigger than our cities. They're not responding to any—" The transmission cut to silence. Jinwoo's jaw clenched. For 300 years, humanity had spread quietly through the galaxy. They built small colonies, traded peacefully, and tried to stay invisible. The big alien empires saw humans as harmless creatures from a backward planet. That was exactly what Earth wanted them to think. "How many colonies have we lost?" Jinwoo asked. 17 confirmed destroyed, sir. The hegemony empire hit them all at the same time. They used some kind of planet-killer weapons. Hei-Wan's hands shook as she read the reports. Estimated casualties are 43 million. The bridge fell, silent except for the soft hum of computers. Every human in the room knew someone who had died today. Jinwoo closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of his sister who lived on New Busan with her family. Had lived. General Da Hoon's voice came through the secure communication channel. "Admiral Jin Woo, report to the classified briefing room immediately. Authorization level, Black Omega." Jin Woo knew what Black Omega meant. It was the highest security level in the human military. He had only heard about it in whispers. As he walked through the corridors of the space station, other officers stepped aside. They could see the cold fury in his eyes. The briefing room was deep in the station's core, behind blast doors thick enough to stop nuclear weapons. General Da Hoon was waiting inside with Captain So Min, a young officer Jin Woo had heard was brilliant but untested in real combat. "Sit down, Admiral," Da Hoon said. His face looked like it had aged 10 years in the past hour. "What I'm about, to tell you cannot leave this room." Jin Woo sat. Captain So Min looked nervous but determined. "The colonies that died today, they were not our only settlements," Da Hoon began. "For the past 60 years, Earth has been building something in secret, something the galaxy has never seen before." The room's lights dimmed, and a holographic projection appeared. Jin Woo's breath caught in his throat. Floating in the projection was a ship unlike anything he had ever imagined. It was enormous, easily 20 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that looked like they could crack planets. "We call them Dreadnoughts," Da Hoon continued. "We've been building them in hidden shipyards around Jupiter's moons. The galaxy thinks we're weak because we use small ships and fight defensively. They don't know we've been preparing for this day, Captain." So Min spoke up. "Sir, how many ships are we talking about?" Da Hoon smiled, but it was not a happy smile. 47 dreadnoughts, Captain. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy an entire enemy fleet. Each one is crewed by humans who have trained their whole lives for war." Jin Woo stared at the projection. "Why keep them secret for so long?" "Because the galaxy is full of predators, Admiral. The moment they knew we could defend ourselves, they would have united to destroy us. Better to let them think we're helpless prey until the moment we show them what Earth's children can really do." Da Hoon pressed another button. The projection changed to show the hegemony empire's fleet movements. Thousands of alien ships were spreading through human space like a plague. "The hegemony thinks they're hunting sheep," Da Hoon said. "They're about to learn they've awakened sleeping dragons. Admiral Jin Woo, I'm placing you in command of the 1st Dreadnought Squadron. Captain So Min, you'll command the flagship." So Min's eyes widened. "Sir, I've never commanded anything larger than a destroyer." "You've studied every battle in human history," Da Hoon replied. "You understand how humans fight. That's all you need." Jin Woo stood up. "What's our mission, General?" Simple, Admiral. Show the galaxy what happens when you murder human families. Dahoon's voice turned ice-cold. I want the Hegemony Empire to learn why our planet is called a death world. I want them to understand that humans don't just fight to win. We fight to make our enemies regret being born. 2 hours later, Jin Woo stood on the bridge of the Dreadnought Indomitable. The ship was a masterpiece of human engineering and human rage. Its armor was forged from materials found in Earth's deepest trenches. Its weapons were designed by minds that had spent centuries perfecting the art of destruction. Captain So Min sat in the command chair, her fingers dancing over controls that could end civilizations. Around them, the bridge crew moved with deadly efficiency. These were not the peaceful traders the galaxy knew. These were the descendants of humanity's greatest warriors, trained from birth to fight in the darkness between stars. All dreadnoughts. Report ready, Admiral, reported Commander Tae Jin from the communications station. Jin Woo looked at the tactical display. 12 massive ships floated in formation, their hulls dark against the stars. Each ship was a sleeping giant waiting to unleash humanity's fury on an unsuspecting galaxy. Captain So Min, take us to hyperspace, Jin Woo ordered. Set course for the hegemony border. So Min's voice rang out clear and strong. All ships, this is Indomitable. Jump to hyperspace in 10 seconds. Today we show the galaxy what human vengeance looks like. The ships vanished into hyperspace, leaving only ripples in space-time. Behind them, Earth's remaining fleets mobilized for total war. Ahead of them, the Hegemony Empire continued its celebrations, not knowing that death itself was coming for them. In the depths of space, ancient alien civilizations detected the hyperspace signatures. Old beings who had witnessed the rise and fall of 1,000 empires felt a chill of recognition. They remembered legends of creatures from death worlds, beings so dangerous that even the stars feared them. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Hegemony Command Center buzzed with activity as reports flooded in from across their empire. Fleet Admiral Vexitar studied the incoming data with growing confusion. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed what he was seeing. Explain. This to me again, he demanded, his voice creating harmonics that hurt human ears. How many ships did the humans deploy? 12 ships, Admiral, replied his aide, a nervous creature with too many arms. But our scouts report they are massive, larger than anything in our databases. Vextar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. 12 ships? The humans send 12 ships against the might of the Hegemony Empire? Their desperation is almost amusing. Meanwhile, the human Dreadnought fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Hegemony territory. The first target was Kepler Station, a heavily fortified military outpost that guarded the border. Intelligence reports said it was defended by 50 Hegemony warships. Captain So Min stood on the bridge of Indomitable, studying the tactical display. The Hegemony ships were arranged in a defensive formation around the station. They were impressive. Vessels, each one 3 times larger than the biggest human ships the galaxy had ever seen. Unfortunately for them, they had never seen a human dreadnought. Admiral Jin Woo, we're receiving a transmission from the Hegemony fleet, reported Lieutenant Commander Hae Won. Put it through, Jin Woo ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing a Hegemony commander with scales that reflected the light like oil. Human vessels, you are trespassing in Hegemony space. Surrender immediately, and we will grant you a quick death. Captain So Min looked at Admiral Jin Woo. Sir, should I respond? Jin Woo shook his head. Actions speak louder than words, Captain. Show them what Indomitable can do. So Min turned to her weapons officer, Commander Yu Na. Target their flagship, full power to the main guns. The Dreadnought's primary weapons charged with a sound like thunder. These were not the simple plasma cannons most species used. These were gravity wave projectors, designed by human scientists who understood that the universe itself could be weaponized. Firing, Yuna announced. Space itself seemed to scream as the gravity wave tore across the void. The hegemony flagship simply ceased to exist, its matter scattered across 1,000 kilometers of space. The shock wave from its destruction knocked 3 other alien ships off course. Silence filled the communication channels. The hegemony fleet had just watched their most powerful warship disappear in an instant. Impossible, whispered the hegemony. Commander, who had demanded surrender. His scales had turned pale with terror. Captain So Min's voice cut through the silence, calm and professional. Hegemony fleet, this is Captain So Min, of the Terran Dreadnought Indomitable. You have murdered 43 million human civilians. Today, you learn the price of that mistake. The battle that followed was not really a battle. It was a demonstration. The human dreadnoughts moved through the hegemony formation like sharks through a school of fish. Their weapons fired again and again, each shot removing another enemy vessel from existence. Commander Tae Jin, commanding the Dreadnought Retribution, showed why humans had dominated Earth's oceans for millions of years. He used his ship's massive bulk to ram directly through a hegemony cruiser, his shields absorbing the impact while the alien ship cracked like an egg. "This is impossible," Admiral Vextar said as he watched the battle reports stream in. "How are they moving so fast?" "Ships that large should be slow and clumsy." His aide trembled as he read the sensor data. "Sir, our scientists believe they're using some kind of advanced gravity manipulation. Their ships can change direction instantly despite their size." On the bridge of Indomitable, Chief Engineer Yu Na monitored the ship's systems with pride. Humans had learned to fight in Earth's crushing gravity, violent weather, and hostile environment. Building ships that could dance despite their massive size was just another engineering challenge. "Captain, enemy reinforcements incoming," reported Hei-Wan. "Looks like another 30 ships." So Min smiled coldly. "Signal the fleet. All ships. Engage at will. Let's show them how humans hunt in packs." The human dreadnoughts spread out, using tactics learned from Earth's deadliest predators. They surrounded the incoming hegemony ships, cutting off escape routes while concentrating their firepower. Admiral Seong-ho, commanding the 2nd Squadron, demonstrated the human concept of overkill by destroying 5 enemy ships with a single barrage. Within 2 hours, the battle was over. Kepler Station was a burning wreck. The hegemony fleet was debris. Not a single human ship had taken serious damage. As the dreadnoughts regrouped, Ambassador Hyun Soo received an encrypted message from the Galactic Coalition. The message was brief. "We need to talk." The galaxy's major powers had been monitoring the battle. For the first time in centuries, they were frightened. The humans had just demonstrated technology and tactics that made their own fleets look like toys. Admiral Jin Woo studied the tactical reports with satisfaction. The first phase of their plan was complete. The galaxy now knew that humans could fight back, but they still didn't understand what they were really facing. Captain So Min, signal the fleet, he ordered. Set course for the next target. We have 42 million more deaths to avenge. As the human fleet jumped back into hyperspace, emergency sessions convened across the galaxy. Ancient species that had survived 1,000,000 years of galactic politics suddenly found themselves asking a question they had never needed to ask before. What do you do when the prey becomes the predator? On Hegemony Prime, Fleet Admiral Vextar stared at the empty space where his border fleet used to be. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Send a message to all fleet commanders, he ordered. The humans are no longer to be considered a minor threat. They are now classified as a galaxy-class threat. All ships are to engage them with extreme caution. But deep in the classified files of the hegemony military, another order was being prepared. If conventional forces could not stop the human dreadnoughts, then unconventional measures would be required. The ancient weapon that had been sleeping for 10,000 years would soon wake from its slumber. The galaxy was about to learn that when you corner a predator, it doesn't just fight back, it fights to win. The Galactic Coalition Emergency Assembly had never seen anything like this. Representatives from 1,000 different species filled the Great Hall, their voices creating a symphony of fear and confusion. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Hyun Soo, the only human in a room full of beings who were just beginning to understand what humanity really was. "The question before us is simple," announced the council speaker, an ancient being whose species had ruled the galaxy when Earth was still covered in ice. "Are the humans a threat to galactic peace?" Hyun Soo stepped forward, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the panic around her. "Honored representatives, humans have lived peacefully in this galaxy for 3 centuries. We have never started a war. We have never conquered territory that wasn't freely given. The Hegemony Empire murdered 43 million of our people. Without warning or declaration of war, we are simply defending ourselves." "Defending?" The Zephyrian ambassador's tentacles writhed with agitation. "Your ships destroyed an entire battle group in 2 hours. Our greatest fleets would struggle against such numbers." "Then perhaps your fleets should not attack human colonies," Hyun Soo replied simply. Far from the political debates, the human Dreadnought fleet was teaching the galaxy a different kind of lesson. Fleet Admiral Chang Ho stood in the command center of the massive flagship Eternal Vigil, watching as his forces approached the Hegemony's core systems. The Eternal Vigil was the largest ship ever built by human hands, 30 kilometers long, and armed with weapons that could shatter moons, it was less a ship than a mobile fortress. Its crew of 50,000 humans worked with the efficiency of a perfect machine. "Admiral, we're approaching the Hegemony's 3rd defense line," reported Captain Mi Ran. "Intelligence suggests they've gathered over 200 ships to stop us." Chang Ho studied the tactical display with the cold calculation of a chess master. The Hegemony had learned from their earlier defeats and was trying new tactics. They had spread their ships across a wide front, hoping to avoid the concentrated firepower that had destroyed their previous fleets. "They're learning," Chang Ho observed. "Good. It will make the lesson more memorable." On the bridge of Indomitable, Captain So Min was coordinating with her fellow captains. The human fleet had grown to 27 dreadnoughts as more ships arrived from the secret shipyards. Each captain was a master of warfare, trained from childhood in the art of space combat. "The enemy is trying to surround us," reported Captain Dong Wu from the experimental ship Defiant Dawn. "Should we break through their center?" "Negative," So Min replied. "We're going to show them why humans dominated every environment on Earth." "We're not breaking through their lines. We're going to make them come to us." The human fleet suddenly stopped, hanging motionless in space like a pack of predators waiting for prey. The Hegemony commanders, watching from their ships, were confused by this apparent lack of movement. Then the dreadnoughts opened fire, but instead of targeting the enemy ships, they fired at the space around them. The gravity wave weapons tore holes in reality itself, creating artificial gravity wells and space-time distortions that turned the battlefield into a maze of deadly hazards. "What are they doing?" demanded Hegemony Admiral Krextall, as he watched space itself become twisted and dangerous. His science officer studied the sensor readings with growing horror. "Sir, they're changing the fundamental structure of local space-time. They're turning physics into a weapon." The Hegemony fleet found itself trapped in a maze of gravity wells and temporal distortions. Ships that tried to maneuver found themselves pulled into crushing gravitational forces. Those that tried to retreat discovered that space itself had become hostile territory. Then the human ships began to move. The dreadnoughts flowed through the distorted space like they belonged there, their advanced navigation systems allowing them to ride the gravity waves they had created. They struck at isolated enemy groups, destroying ships with surgical precision before vanishing back into the maze of twisted space. Dr. Jun Suk, the human xenobiologist studying captured alien technology, watched from the science station aboard, Eternal Vigil. The enemy ships are designed for normal space-time, he reported to Admiral Chang Ho. They can't adapt to the conditions we've created. Chang Ho nodded. Humans have always been adaptable, Doctor. It's what kept us alive on Earth, and it's what will keep us alive among the stars. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the hegemony's third defense line had been completely destroyed. Not a single human ship had been lost. Aboard his flagship, Admiral Krextal stared at the wreckage of his fleet with disbelief. He had commanded fleets for 3 centuries and had never seen anything like what the humans had just accomplished. "How is this possible?" he whispered. His aide, one of the few survivors, trembled as he spoke. "Sir, our analysts believe the humans have been studying galactic warfare for centuries. They know all our tactics, all our strategies, but we know nothing about theirs. On Earth, children were learning about the battles in their schools, but they weren't just learning about the victories. They were learning about why humans fought differently than other species. Humans evolved on a world trying to kill them," explained teacher Park Kai to her young students. "Every day was a battle for survival. Other species evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation was enough. That's why they don't understand how we think." One student raised her hand. "Teacher Park, are we the bad ones for being so good at fighting?" Teacher Park smiled sadly. "No, little one. We're not bad for being good at protecting ourselves, but we must always remember that with great power comes great responsibility. We fight to protect, not to conquer." In the depths of space, the human fleet continued its advance toward Hegemony Prime. Each battle was easier than the last as the aliens struggled to adapt to human tactics. But, unknown to the humans, the Hegemony leadership was preparing their final gambit. Deep in a hidden facility, ancient machinery was awakening. The Starkiller weapon that had ended the last galactic war 10,000 years ago was being prepared for use once more. If conventional forces could not stop the human fleet, then perhaps the power to destroy entire solar systems would be enough. Admiral Chang Ho sensed that something was changing as his fleet approached the hegemony capital. The enemy resistance was becoming more desperate, more erratic. Intelligence reports suggested that the hegemony leadership was considering extreme measures. "Captain Mi Ran, increase our surveillance network," he ordered. "I have a feeling the hegemony is about to show us something new." "Yes, sir," Mi Ran replied. "Should we be concerned?" Chang Ho looked out at the stars, thinking of the billions of human lives depending on his fleet's success. "Captain, humans have survived ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, and worse. Whatever the hegemony has planned, we'll find a way to deal with it." But deep in his heart, Chang Ho wondered if humanity's luck was finally about to run out. The galaxy was vast and old, and somewhere in its depths, weapons existed that could end civilizations. The final test of human determination was about to begin. The ancient weapon had been sleeping in the heart of a dead star for 10,000 years. Now, as hegemony engineers worked frantically to awaken it, the galaxy held its breath. Even species that had never heard of humans suddenly felt a chill of cosmic dread. Captain Dong Wu stood on the bridge of Defiant Dawn, studying the sensor readings that made no sense. "Commander Su Young, what exactly am I looking at?" Su Young's face was pale as she checked her instruments again. "Sir, it appears to be an artificial structure wrapped around a stellar core. The energy readings are impossible. It's drawing power directly from nuclear fusion." Admiral Chang Ho's voice crackled over the communication system from Eternal Vigil. "All ships, we've detected massive energy fluctuations from the Rigel system. Intelligence suggests the hegemony has activated some kind of superweapon. Captain." So Min leaned forward in her command chair aboard Indomitable. 3 months of constant battle had hardened her into a legendary figure among both humans and aliens. Enemy commanders spoke her name in hushed whispers, calling her the Iron Ghost. for her ability to appear anywhere on the battlefield. "Admiral, what are we dealing with?" she asked. "Unknown, Captain, but our long-range sensors suggest it's something that could threaten entire star systems. We're moving to investigate." Across the galaxy, alien civilizations were receiving the same horrifying data. The Starkiller weapon was a relic from the ancient wars that had nearly destroyed all life in the galaxy. The fact that anyone was desperate enough to use it again sent waves of panic through every major government. Ambassador Hyun-Soo found herself summoned to an emergency session of the Galactic Coalition. This time, the mood was different. Instead of fear of humanity, there was fear for humanity. "Ambassador," said the council speaker, "our scientists confirm that the hegemony has activated a Starkiller weapon. This device has the power to cause stars to go supernova. If used against inhabited systems, it would commit genocide on a scale the galaxy has never seen." Hyun-Soo finished. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because, Ambassador, your fleet is heading directly toward it, and because this weapon threatens not just humans, but every living being in the galaxy if it falls into the wrong hands." The human Dreadnought fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Rigel system to find something that defied comprehension. The Starkiller weapon was a massive ring structure 50,000 kilometers across, wrapped around the dying star like a metal serpent. Energy cascaded across its surface in patterns that hurt to look at. "My God," whispered Dr. Jun-Suk from his station aboard Eternal Vigil. "It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time." Admiral Chang-Ho studied the tactical display with growing concern. The weapon was defended by what remained of the hegemony's grand fleet, over 500 ships arranged in concentric defensive rings around the ancient device. "Admiral," reported Commander Su Young, "we're detecting charge buildup in the weapon's core. If our calculations are correct, it's preparing to fire at Earth." A cold silence fell over the command center. Every human in the fleet knew what that meant. Earth wasn't just their home world, it was the heart of human civilization. If Earth died, humanity might survive, but it would never be the same. Captain Miran broke the silence. "Sir, we have to stop that weapon, whatever the cost." Chang-Ho nodded slowly. "All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Chang-Ho. The enemy has threatened our homeworld with a weapon of mass destruction. This cannot stand. All vessels prepare for full assault." But as the human fleet advanced, something unexpected happened. The hegemony fleet split apart, with half their ships retreating to safe distance. The aliens were abandoning their own superweapon rather than risk being caught in its blast. "They're running," observed Captain Dong-Woo with disgust. "They built a weapon that could destroy the galaxy, and now they're too cowardly to stay and defend it." Admiral Yoon-Suk, commanding the 3rd Squadron, had a different perspective. "Captain, sometimes cowardice is actually wisdom. They know something about that weapon that we don't." The human fleet pressed forward, but the closer they got to the Starkiller, the more their instruments went haywire. The device was warping space-time around itself, creating a bubble of twisted physics that made normal navigation impossible. "Sir," reported Chief Engineer Yu Na from Indomitable, "the gravitational distortions are affecting our shield generators. We're losing efficiency with every kilometer we advance." Captain So-Min made a decision that would become legendary. "All ships, this is Indomitable. I'm going in alone. One ship can navigate these distortions better than an entire fleet." "Negative, Captain." Admiral Chang-Ho's voice was firm. "We don't abandon our own." "With respect, Admiral, you're not abandoning me. You're giving me the chance to save Earth." So-Min turned to her crew. "All hands, prepare for close approach to the Starkiller weapon." The Dreadnought Indomitable dove toward the ancient device like a metal comet. Behind it, the rest of the human fleet fought desperately against the remaining hegemony ships, trying to clear a path for their flagship. Sergeant First Class Myung Kai led his elite Marine unit through the corridors of Indomitable, preparing for the impossible mission ahead. "Listen up, Marines! We're going to board that thing and find a way to shut it down. Intel says the control systems are probably at the core, right next to the star itself." One of his Marines looked skeptical. "Sarge, how are we supposed to survive next to a nuclear furnace?" Myung-Ki grinned. "The same way humans have always survived impossible situations, Marine. We adapt, we improvise, and we refuse to die." As Indomitable approached the Star Killer weapon, its sensors detected something that changed everything. The device wasn't just preparing to fire at Earth, it was preparing to fire at every major inhabited system in the galaxy simultaneously. "Captain," Su Young's voice was tight with horror, "the weapon has multiple targeting arrays. It's going to destroy dozens of star systems at once." So Min felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. The hegemony wasn't just trying to destroy humanity. They were willing to commit galactic genocide rather than admit defeat. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "Inform them that this weapon threatens every living being in the galaxy. We're not just fighting for humanity anymore. We're fighting for all life." The message that went out from Indomitable was transmitted on every frequency known to galactic civilization. For the first time in galactic history, a human voice spoke directly to every intelligent species in the galaxy. "This is Captain So Min of the Terran Dreadnought Indomitable. The Hegemony Empire has activated a weapon that will destroy all inhabited worlds in the galaxy. Humanity will stop this weapon or die trying. We fight not just for our own species, but for the right of all life to exist among the stars." Across the galaxy, alien leaders who had spent months fearing human military might suddenly found themselves hoping that humanity was strong enough to save them all. The Starkiller weapon began its final charging sequence, energy building 2, levels that would soon tear holes in reality itself, and racing toward it through twisted space-time came a single human ship, carrying the hopes and fears of every living being in the galaxy. The final battle was about to begin. The Starkiller weapon's energy output was climbing beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Inside the ancient device, systems that had slept for 10 millennia roared to life with the power of a captive star. The weapon's targeting computers locked onto 47 inhabited systems, including Earth. Captain So Min guided Indomitable through the maze of twisted space-time around the weapon, her ship's hull glowing from the intense radiation. Behind her, Admiral Chang Ho's fleet fought desperately to break through the hegemony's final defense line. "Captain, we're detecting critical energy buildup," reported Commander Su Young. "The weapon will fire in less than 2 hours." So Min's jaw tightened. "How long do we need to reach the control center?" "At current speed, 3 hours," Su Young replied grimly. The mathematics were simple and terrifying. They would not reach the weapon's core in time to stop it. Billions of lives hung in the balance, and humanity's best effort was falling short. That's when Captain Dong Wu's voice crackled over the communication system. "Indomitable. This is Defiant Dawn. I'm reading your situation. Permission to try." Something stupid. So Min almost smiled despite the circumstances. "Define stupid, Captain. I'm going to ram the weapon's outer ring while you go for the core. My ship's experimental shields might survive long enough to disrupt their targeting systems." "Negative, Dong Wu. That's suicide." "Maybe. But it's also the only chance we have." Across the battle zone, other human captains were making similar decisions. The Dreadnought Retribution, commanded by Tae Jin, broke formation and began a direct assault on the weapon's power collectors. The ship Vengeful Spirit, under Captain Sung Ho, targeted the massive energy conduits that fed power to the Starkiller's firing chambers. Admiral Chong Ho watched his captains sacrifice themselves one by one, each buying precious minutes for So Min's desperate mission. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on the hegemony fleet. Give our people every second we can." Meanwhile, deep inside the Starkiller weapon, Sergeant Myung-ki led his Marines through corridors that defied human understanding. The ancient builders had used technology that treated gravity as a suggestion and time as a variable. This place wasn't built by anything that evolved naturally, observed Corporal Han Sol as they advanced through a passage that seemed to exist in 4 dimensions. What kind of beings could create something like this? Dead ones, Myung-ki replied, grimly. And we need to make sure this thing dies with them. The Marines reached the weapon's core to find something that would haunt their dreams forever. The control center was a vast chamber built around the raw heart of a star. Machinery older than human civilization channeled nuclear fire through conduits of crystallized space-time. At the center of it all was the weapon's primary control system, a crystalline matrix that pulsed with the rhythm of stellar fusion. And guarding it was the weapon's automated defense system, robotic guardians that had waited 10,000 years for intruders. "Contacts! Multiple contacts!" shouted Marine Kim Yoon as the ancient guardians activated. "These things are bigger than our shuttles." The battle inside the Starkiller's core was fought in conditions that should have killed humans instantly. Gravity flux meters beyond anything Earth had ever produced, radiation levels that could sterilize continents, and temperatures that could melt steel. But the human Marines fought on, driven by the knowledge that every inhabited world in the galaxy depended on them. Outside the weapon, Captain Dong-Woo's suicide run had succeeded beyond all expectations. Defiant Dawn's experimental shields held just long enough for the ship to punch through the outer ring, causing massive secondary explosions that disrupted the Starkiller's targeting systems. "Targeting array offline," reported Su Young with barely controlled excitement. "The weapon can no longer lock onto multiple targets simultaneously." But the victory was short-lived. The Starkiller's automated systems began adapting, rerouting power and rebuilding damaged circuits. Within minutes, it would be ready to fire at Earth alone. Captain So Min made a decision that would echo through history. "All hands, prepare for emergency acceleration. We're going straight through the weapon's core." Her crew stared at her in shock. Flying through the heart of the Starkiller weapon meant flying through the edges of stellar plasma. No ship had ever been designed to survive such conditions. "Captain," Chief Engineer Yu Na said quietly, "the ship won't survive that kind of stress." "Then we'd better work fast," So Min replied. "Plot a course directly through the weapon's heart. Full power to shields and structural integrity. Indomitable dove toward the Starkiller's core like a comet seeking the sun." The ship's hull began to glow, then to burn, as it passed through layers of exotic matter and twisted physics. Behind them, the weapon's energy output spiked toward critical levels. In the core chamber, Sergeant Myung-ki's Marines had fought their way to the control matrix. Half his team was dead, and the survivors were barely standing. But they had reached their objective. "Myung-ki to Indomitable," he gasped into his communicator. "We're at the control system. What do we do now?" "Dr. June," Suk's voice came through from the ship's science station. "Sergeant, you need to introduce a computer virus into the crystal matrix. We've prepared a data package that should turn the weapon's own power against itself." "How do we upload it?" "Physical contact with the matrix. But, Sergeant, the radiation levels there will be lethal within seconds." Myung-ki looked at his remaining Marines. They were all young, all brave, all far from home. He thought of Earth, of families they would never see again, of children who would grow up free because of what they did here. "Marines," he said, "it's been an honor serving with you." The virus upload took 30 seconds. In that time, the radiation killed every human in the core chamber. But their sacrifice accomplished something the galaxy had thought impossible. They turned the Starkiller weapon against itself. The ancient device began tearing itself apart from within. Energy cascades that should have destroyed star systems instead consumed the weapon's own structure. The crystalline control matrix cracked, then shattered, releasing 10,000 years of stored power in a controlled explosion. Captain So-Min barely got Indomitable clear before the Starkiller weapon died in a blaze of light visible across half the galaxy. The ancient threat that had terrified civilizations for millennia was finally gone forever. As the human fleet regrouped in the aftermath, a strange thing happened. Ships from across the galaxy began arriving, not to fight, but to witness. Alien. Vessels from dozens of species came to see the wreckage of the weapon that had threatened all life. Ambassador Hyun-Soo received a message from the Galactic Coalition. Humanity has saved the galaxy. We are in your debt. But the humans wanted no debt, no payment, no reward. Admiral Chang Ho's response was simple. We did what anyone would do. We protected innocent life. Across the galaxy, alien children would grow up hearing stories of the human fleet that saved the stars. They would learn that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but acting despite fear. They would understand that sometimes the most dangerous predators were also the greatest protectors. The hegemony empire collapsed within weeks, its leadership fleeing into dark space. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would never be forgotten. Never threaten a species that calls a death world home. And in the ruins of the Starkiller weapon, among the debris of ancient evil, new life began to grow. The galaxy was safe, and humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest, but through sacrifice. 5 years after the Starkiller weapon's destruction, the galaxy had settled into a new peace. But it was a peace built on respect rather than fear, understanding rather than ignorance. The great powers had learned that humanity was not a species, to be dismissed or threatened. Fleet Admiral Jin Woo, now promoted to Supreme Commander of all human space forces, stood on the observation deck of the newest human Dreadnought, Eternal Guardian. Through the massive viewport, he could see representatives from 40 different species arriving for the ceremony that would change galactic history forever. President Hai Jin, Earth's leader, had traveled from the homeworld for this moment. She stood beside Jin Woo, watching as the largest gathering of alien ships in galactic history assembled in peaceful formation. "Are you ready for this, Admiral?" she asked. Jin Woo nodded slowly. "As ready as anyone can be for making history, Madam President." The ceremony was taking place in the same space where the Starkiller weapon had been destroyed. Where once an ancient evil had threatened all life, now representatives of every major civilization gathered to witness humanity's formal entry into galactic leadership. Captain So-Min, now Admiral So-Min and hero of the galaxy, commanded the honor guard of 12 dreadnoughts that formed a protective ring around the diplomatic fleet. The sight of human dreadnoughts no longer brought terror to alien hearts. Instead, it brought comfort. Everyone knew that where human ships went, innocent lives were protected. Ambassador Sang-Min, Earth's chief negotiator, had spent 3 years working out the details of humanity's new role in galactic affairs. The terms were unprecedented. Humans would serve as the galaxy's peacekeeping force, but with strict limits on their authority and clear oversight from the Coalition Council. "The galaxy offers us a great honor," Sang-Min had explained to the Earth Council months earlier. "But it comes with great responsibility. We will be trusted to police conflicts and protect the innocent. If we abuse that trust, we become the very evil we once fought against." On the bridge of Eternal Guardian, Admiral So-Min received reports from across the human fleet. Every ship was at full readiness. Not because they expected trouble, but because professionalism was what had earned them the galaxy's respect. "Admiral, we're receiving the final delegation," reported Captain Mi-Ran, now serving as So-Min's second-in-command. "The Zephyrian Parliament has arrived." So-Min smiled, remembering how the Zephyrians had once feared human military might. Now, their ambassador was one of humanity's strongest supporters on the Coalition Council. "Signal all ships. So men ordered. Form ceremonial formation. Today we show the galaxy what human honor looks like. The human dreadnoughts moved with perfect precision, arranging themselves in patterns that spoke of discipline and control. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, but more importantly, each crew was a testament to human character. Captain Dong Wu, who had survived his stupid suicide run against the Star Killer weapon, commanded the Dreadnought Phoenix Rising. The ship's name commemorated humanity's rise from the ashes of near extinction to become the galaxy's protectors. As the ceremony began, President Hai Jin spoke to the assembled representatives through translators that carried her words to every species present. 5 years ago, our worlds were attacked by those who saw us as weak, she said. Today, we stand before you not as conquerors, but as guardians. We accept the responsibility you offer us, but we do so with humility. Strength without wisdom is tyranny. Power without compassion is evil. We swear to you that humanity will never forget these truths. The response from the galactic community was immediate and overwhelming. Ships from across the galaxy flashed their lights in salute, creating a display visible from neighboring star systems. Admiral Chang Ho, now serving as humanity's senior military advisor to the coalition, watched the ceremony with quiet satisfaction. The fleet he had once commanded in desperate battle was now being formally recognized as the galaxy's premier peacekeeping force. "Sir," his aide asked, "what do you think the future holds?" Chang Ho considered the question carefully. "The same thing it's always held for humans, Commander. Challenges we'll face, problems we'll solve, and responsibilities we'll accept. The only difference is that now we're not facing them alone." Dr. Jun Suk, whose analysis of alien technology had been crucial in defeating the Starkiller weapon, had established the galaxy's first interspecies research institute. Scientists from dozens of worlds worked together, sharing knowledge that advanced all of their civilizations. The most remarkable thing, he often told his students, is not that we learned to fight so well. It's that we learned when to stop fighting. Teacher Park Kai continued to educate young humans about their place in the galaxy, but now her lessons included students from other worlds, alien children who came to Earth to learn about human history and culture. "Why did humans become so good at fighting?" asked a young Zephyrian student during one of her classes. "Because we had to," Park Kai replied gently. "Our world tried to kill us every day, so we learned to survive. But the most important lesson wasn't how to fight. It was knowing what was worth fighting for." Across the galaxy, the sight of human dreadnoughts jumping into contested systems had become a symbol of hope rather than fear. Pirates fled at the mention of human patrol fleets. Aggressive empires thought twice before starting wars, knowing that humanity would intervene to protect the innocent. The hegemony empire, what remained of it, had retreated to the galaxy's edge. Occasionally, their ships were spotted in remote systems, but they never again threatened inhabited worlds. The memory of what human fury could accomplish kept them in check. Ambassador Hyun Soo had become one of the most respected diplomats in galactic history. Her ability to find peaceful solutions to conflicts had prevented 3 major wars in the past 2 years alone. "The secret," she often said, "is remembering that everyone wants to go home safely at the end of the day. Find a way for that to happen, and you can solve any conflict." As the formal ceremony concluded, Admiral Jin Woo received a message that made him smile. It was from a group of alien children on a distant world, thanking the human fleet for stopping a band of raiders that had been threatening their colony. "Admiral," President Hai Jin said as she prepared to return to Earth, "I want you to know how proud humanity is of what you and your crews have accomplished." Jin Woo looked out at the human fleet, thinking of all the brave men and women who served aboard those ships. "Madam President, we're just doing what humans have always done. We're taking care of our family. It's just that now our family includes the entire galaxy." The ceremony ended with a tradition that had begun spontaneously during the first year after the Starkiller's destruction. Every ship in the human fleet, from the massive dreadnoughts to the smallest patrol vessels, transmitted the same message. Simultaneously, it was heard across the galaxy, carried by every communication system known to galactic civilization. This is the Terran Dreadnought Corps. We stand watch so others may sleep in peace. We guard the innocent, protect the weak, and defend the right of all beings to live free among the stars. This is our oath, our duty, and our honor. As the alien fleets departed for their home worlds, they carried with them the knowledge that the galaxy was safer because humanity had found its place among the stars. Not as conquerors or overlords, but as the guardians they had always been meant to be. The legendary Dreadnought fleet that had once sent fear into the heart of the galaxy now sent something far more powerful: hope for a future where all beings could live in peace. And in the depths of space, new human crews trained aboard new dreadnoughts, learning the skills they would need to continue their species' greatest mission: protecting the innocent and preserving the peace that so many had died to create. The legend of Earth's dreadnought fleet would continue for generations to come, inspiring children across the galaxy with the knowledge that courage, determination, and sacrifice could overcome any darkness.